Hello, this is David Welch of Omnience. Today I'd like to show you some features of the Omnience Registration Portal. You'll see it running here under Firefox, current version of Firefox. This is a Notes plugin that we use to access the Admin Client. On the left here you see all the navigation options. On the right you see some quick links to certain features. Let's just go ahead and take a look at some events that are already defined in the portal. So if we click on Setup Events and click on Work with Existing Events, we'll see a list of all the current events that this client is using. You'll see active ones here, Event 3, Event 5, National Filmmakers. You'll see some events that are in draft mode here. So this is just basically a view of all of the different events by status, date, author, a lot of different combinations here. So let's just go ahead and take a look at an event definition. The one we're going to look at is here in Los Angeles, National Filmmakers of America. At the top you see what we call the event profile. So let's go ahead and take a look at what is defined in the event profile. And as you can see, there's a couple of areas at the top, just general event information, configuration, how we define some email notifications, and what we do on post-event. So you see the start date, start time, some configurations for mobile, how we can theme the mobile app. We can put logos at the top and the bottom. We also have some contact information here, just general information about the event location. We actually track the GPS location, which is used in the mobile app and any mapping features that we have in the app. So let's go ahead and go to configuration. Configuration is a key screen that allows you to set what types of information you want to show for an event. This one has all of the event areas selected: agenda, speakers, sponsors, additional page, which is basically just a wildcard or just some more information you want about the event. We've got sessions defined, which are specific time in start and end times and topics, and even speakers for a session. Mapping pages, which are basically locations you want to show in the mobile application, and attendee pages, which are quick lists of attendees. And this is mobile only. So this is just where you define some of that information. Contact, again, about this is used primarily in the mobile app, but it's also used in the web application. Marketing intelligence questions is the second tab, which shows you, you can here pick from a list of predefined what we call marketing intelligence, which are basically just a grouping of types of questions that you want to ask on your registration form. Company size, how did you hear about the event? Here's one: best describes your company. So you can basically, at this event level, choose whether you want to include that question or don't include that question. You can toggle between separate types of questions, and it will pull those question sets in here. There's just a different group of questions here. On the registration section is where you create and trigger creation of that page. You can preview the page, and we'll see that in a second, but you basically create these pages here in these additional tabs. Mapping, here's where you can create a map and attach it here to show in the mobile application. Meetings and additional, here's the additional page. So let's just look through one of these pages. So let's look at the preview of the live page for this event in English. So this will link to the HTML page that is used for all of the registration and all the pages. The connection's a little slow here, but here comes the page. So we've got here's the registration page with here's those optional questions I was talking about. There's a lot of other configuration in here we didn't include, but that's just the registration page. So if we go back here, we can also edit this page. So from here, let's just edit the registration page. So this is typically an iterative process to get all these pages like you want them, but there isn't any limit on how much you can edit them or when you can edit them. It does require an approval stage to, or we have some approval processes that sets the event into a production mode. We do have some checks there and some processes built in that the customer can control. So when an event manager has their event ready, they have to go through a set of approval, or at least one approval process. Here you can see the registration, what we call the registration profile, how you want the event to be displayed, a graphic. Here we can select from predefined graphics that we have in our system. Include the graphic on the confirmation page here. You can have these options, all kinds of options, how you want this page to look to the end user. Confirmation messages. Here's some optional questions again. This is in addition to the marketing intelligence questions that we had before. These are custom questions that you can define in addition to those canned questions we saw before. You can define how you want the badge to be handled. You can define sessions here. Here this particular event has 2 days. It has here are the 2 days, and you can edit and add those tracks here. So if we click on edit, you'll see 2 tracks, 10 sessions. Here is all the information about each session, name. There's you can actually enhance the name if you like to with HTML. A tactic code, which is just basically a marketing or down the line system that you'd like to use to populate some information there to tie it to this session. Description, whether you want to span tracks, capacities, speakers. You can go here and select speakers from that are already defined in ORP. There they are here. So these are speakers with pictures, descriptions, job titles, organizations we already defined. So we can select those, add them to this session. We can close and open the status of this session so people can either enroll or not enroll in the session. So you can define those for each of these sessions and tracks. So that's really a couple more things about the reg profile here, emergency contact, whether you want to prompt for that in your registration. You've got some advanced settings here and so forth. Everything you see in our system is logged. Everything is fully audited. You can see here you've got what's saved, what's changed. So you can really track what's going on and what changes have been made throughout the life of this event. And you'll see that on every screen. Basically, we log and audit everything that is changed. All right, so let's go ahead and look at some other features of this particular event. I close this. We'll go back to our original view. And what we were editing there was just this registration profile. You've got agenda profiles, speaker profiles, sponsor profiles, additional page profiles. Each of those has configuration information about how you handle each of them. We won't go into each of them right now. We'll have future videos that targets each of these. But I just want to show you the general configuration of this, or how this ORP client works. There's a lot of options here for how you can view post-event attendance not completed. You can look at inactive events. So this is just really how you view all of the events. ORP is really designed for multiple event streams, and it handles all of that very well. You can go cross-event and view all of those past and future events. So once the event's defined, you obviously want to have registrants, and this is how you see those registrants. A lot of different views on by company last name, event, so forth. But basically it comes down to looking at a registrant, and you can also manually add registrants. You don't have to go through your web-based registration. You can just go into the console here and add people. But here's the information you see after they registered. You see the company, the emergency contact, how they answered the questions, if they used payments, and really all of the information that was collected on the registration. Let's show you some other of the features of the system here. Looking at there's a location where you can manage invitations for an event. You can send basically email notifications to someone to request them to enroll or to ask them to enroll in a new event, and some processes around that cycle. You can create subscriptions for an event where you can have a list of contacts that want to be notified when you add new events to your ORP system, and you can schedule those, and that will be delivered to those individuals that you define. And there's online help here, some FAQs, how-to guides. There's some content on how to manage your system. Also, if you have some configuration to set up, typically keywords, some of the elements, currency, settings. The big thing here is emails. You can set up emails for contacts that enroll either by event, or you can take the defaults. As you can see, here's the defaults for confirmation, cancellation, an invitation, or a reminder that you can send a few weeks before the event. And you can see here there are notification emails for each language that you have enabled for an event, which we haven't covered in the registration piece, but if you pull up these confirmation emails, you'll see that language is fully supported for the locales and languages in ORP. Here you see some parameters where their email is sent from. If you want to copy individuals, your subject line, some substitution parameters here, such as you want to put in the first name, the title. So this is all customizable by the event and by the language. And of course we audit all of this just like we mentioned before. So let's go back to the setup of events and just go through this creation of an event. It's very simple. Go through to type an event name, start date, so forth, the name, location, city, states, and your some cost information, number of projected attendees. You create this event brief as the first step. We're not going to do that. We're just going to assume we've got some event briefs already, which are here. So if you look at these event briefs, I can create an event here, and I just select that event brief that was already created. What that's going to do is create the event profile. You'll see here at the bottom it's creating the event profile, which we've already looked at before. Here's that screen that I showed you before. So that's how you actually start the event, and you fill it out from here. You tell it which languages. Here's the language enabled for this particular ORP database or ORP application. You can configure that up front before you, or actually at any time you can add languages. So this is that's just generally how you start with an event and creating them. Some other things, some supporting information here, locations. This is what I mentioned, the mapping features. You can add points of interest which will appear in the mobile app. And this is where that's defined. You basically define a map, and then you define points of interest here, classroom A, B, C, conference room. And here you define the location on that map, and that's used in the mobile app. You can define graphics that are used in frequently here. So this would be something that you're going to use a lot, maybe some company logos or company product spec sheets. You can define let's go to speaker bios, which is what we pulled up before, where you add speakers to your sessions. So you can define those once. If you have multiple speakers that you use frequently, this is only required here one time. You define their bio content, their picture, their title, their organization, and so forth. Pretty standard kind of stuff here. Sponsors, you can define sponsor pages that are used on your on the mobile app to display there. Also, they're displayed, or you can display them on your reg forms or on your speaker or sponsor pages. Attachments are also available to be put on your site, and there's a lot of different ways you can show those attachments. Same thing with MP3s, video files, so forth. And this concludes the ORP Administrative Client demonstration. I hope this was helpful to everyone. Please check our YouTube site for additional videos and more detailed functionality of ORP. Thank you very much.